Deep in the Pacific, where the powerful currents of the Kuroshio Stream collide with the rugged shores of Japan's westernmost island, a massive secret lay dormant for thousands of years. It was 1986, a year like any other for Kihachiro Aratake, a local diving instructor and seasoned explorer. He wasn't looking for lost civilizations or ancient secrets on that fateful day. He was simply searching for new spots to take tourists to witness the majestic hammerhead sharks that frequent these waters. But as he swam over the edge of a familiar reef near the southern coast of Yonaguni Jima, the blue abyss gave way to something that defied all logic. Looming out of the crystalline depths was a massive monolithic structure that seemed to scream of human intent and architectural design. It wasn't just a mountain of stone. It was a silent, submerged giant that looked like a fortress from a forgotten era, carved with a precision that chilled him to the bone. This was the birth of one of the greatest archaeological debates of our modern time. The structure, now famously known as the Yonaguni Monument, is a staggering sight to behold. Measuring roughly 150 meters in length and 40 meters in width, it rises 27 meters from the ocean floor, like a submerged skyscraper. Even in the shifting ethereal light of the Pacific, the geometry is impossible to ignore. Aratak looked down upon sharp, 90-degree angles, perfectly flat surfaces, and what appeared to be intricately carved staircases descending into the dark blue void. It felt less like a natural geological formation, and more like a ruined cathedral or a ceremonial stadium built for giants. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The water here is remarkably clear, often allowing visibility of up to 30 meters, which only adds to the haunting realism of the site. It is as if the sea has frozen a moment in time, preserving a relic that shouldn't exist according to our history books. The central question remains: is this the legendary Japanese Atlantis, a remnant of a lost Pacific empire, or is it merely a freak accident of nature? This question has haunted researchers and explorers for decades. The implications of the former are terrifying to traditional historians. If the Yonaguni Monument is indeed a man-made structure, it would shatter our current understanding of the human timeline and the rise of civilization. Geological evidence suggests that this area was last above sea level during the end of the last ice age, approximately 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. At that time, according to mainstream history, humans were supposed to be primitive hunter-gatherers, yet this structure suggests a society capable of massive stone masonry and urban planning, predating the Egyptian pyramids by thousands of years. One particular section draws the most awe from those brave enough to dive here, the main altar. It consists of a series of giant stepped terraces that lead up to a massive flat platform, looking for all the world like a stage for ancient, solemn rituals. Looking at these steps, one can almost imagine priests or kings standing atop the stone, gazing out at a horizon that has long since been claimed by the waves. The symmetry is unsettling. Nature rarely works in such perfect straight lines, yet here, the corners are crisp and the hallways are narrow and purposeful. You can swim through these corridors, feeling the weight of the massive stone walls on either side, experiencing an eerie silence that is only broken by the rhythmic sound of your own breathing and the distant rush of the ocean current. Despite the visual evidence, the scientific community remains fiercely divided. Local divers, led by the conviction of Arataka, are certain they have found an ancient city. They point to what look like post holes for wooden pillars and strange carvings that resemble animal shapes. However, mainstream geologists are often quick to dismiss these claims as pareidolia, the human tendency to see patterns where none exist. They argue that the sandstone of the region is prone to fracturing in straight lines due to tectonic activity. This tension between the dream of a lost civilization and the cold reality of geology creates a palpable energy at the site. The monument sits in a legal and historical limbo, unrecognized by the Japanese government as a cultural site, yet drawing thousands of curious souls who want to see the mystery for themselves. As the tides pull through the structure, swaying the kelp like ghosts, dancing in a stadium, the Yonaguni Monument remains a silent sentinel, guarding a truth that could change everything we know about our ancestors. Leading the charge of academic rebellion against the natural explanation is Professor Misaki Kimura, a dedicated marine geologist from the University of the Ryukyus. Having spent more than 15 years diving into the depths surrounding Yonaguni-jima, Kimura has mapped the site with a level of detail that few others can claim. To him, the monument is not a geological accident, but a masterpiece of prehistoric engineering. He has documented dozens of specific features that he insists could not have been created by the random forces of erosion. Among these are small, perfectly circular holes that he believes served as sockets for wooden pillars, suggesting the structure once supported a roof or a complex of boardwalks. He also points to what he identifies as animal carvings, most notably a stone formation shaped like a turtle. Encircling the base of the main structure, Kimura found a flat, paved-looking area he calls the Loop Road, a feature he argues would be impossible for nature to create in such a uniform, encircling pattern. To understand how this could exist, we must look back at the dramatic shifts in our planet's history. During the last ice age, roughly 12,000 years ago, the world was a very different place. Massive glaciers locked away the Earth's water, causing sea levels to be over 100 meters lower than they are today. During this era, the Yonaguni Monument would have been a high, dry plateau, perfectly situated for a coastal community to utilize. Kimura argues that this was the golden age of a lost civilization that thrived before the Great Thaw began. As the climate warmed and the glaciers melted, a catastrophic rise in sea levels would have slowly inundated the continental shelves, swallowing this coastal city and turning its grand plazas into the silent, kelp-covered ruins we see today. This theory suggests the site predates the rise of Mesopotamia or Egypt. However, this vision of a submerged Atlantis is met with fierce resistance from the mainstream scientific community, led by Professor Robert Schoch of Boston University. Schoch, a geologist known for his expertise in rock weathering, has explored the site multiple times and remains unconvinced of its human origin. He argues that the geometry is actually a predictable result of the local geology. The monument is composed of sandstone and mudstone prone to natural fracturing. Because this region sits near active tectonic plate boundaries, the stone is under constant stress, causing it to break along clean, straight lines and create 90-degree joints. As to Schoch, the staircases are simply the result of horizontal bedding planes being intersected by vertical cracks. He sees the hallways not as streets, but as natural fault lines widened by relentless ocean currents over millennia. The debate often narrows down to the presence of tool marks. Kimura claims to have found faint scratches and primitive hieroglyphs etched into the stone, interpreting them as a record of construction or a forgotten language. Skeptics like Schoch dismiss these as bioerosion or natural scratches caused by floating rocks and debris caught in the swirling tides. Yet, even the most skeptical divers find it hard to explain the twin megaliths. These are two massive vertical stone slabs that stand side by side like a monumental gateway. They are balanced with impossible precision on a flat platform, and their placement seems so deliberate that it defies the logic of random rockfalls. Kimura's research further expands into a larger complex he describes as a stadium layout, encompassing what he believes to be a castle, a triumphal arch, and even a drainage system. He argues that the entire area was a functional urban center. A key point used by skeptics, however, is that the monument is made of the same rock as the seabed itself. It is not built of transported blocks. While Schock uses this to prove it is a natural outcrop, Kimura sees it as evidence of terraforming, the idea that ancient humans didn't build the site from scratch, but instead sculpted the natural bedrock into a sacred architectural marvel. This battle of perspectives remains the heart of the Yonaguni mystery, where every stone tells a different story depending on who is looking at it and what they choose to believe. Beyond the academic tug-of-war between Masaki Kimura and Robert Schoch, a deeper, more mystical thread pulls at the imagination of those who visit Yonaguni. For many, these submerged ruins are the physical remains of the lost continent of Mu. This legendary landmass, first popularized in the 19th century, was said to have once hosted a massive, advanced civilizations of immense wisdom before sinking into the abyss during a cataclysmic shift. While mainstream science rejects the existence of such a continent, the sheer presence of the monument serves as a powerful magnet for those seeking a link to a forgotten human epoch. They see in the straight lines and sharp angles the echoes of a sophisticated people who lived in harmony with the sea, a precursor to all known Eastern cultures. Perhaps the most compelling way to bridge the divide between the man-made and natural camps is the theory of terraforming. This suggests that the Yonaguni Monument was not built from scratch, nor is it purely a freak accident of tectonic forces. Instead, proponents argue that prehistoric humans discovered a naturally striking geological formation and used primitive tools to finish or sculpt it to suit their rituals. They might have smoothed the steps of the main altar, widened the corridors, or sharpened the edges of the narrow hallways. This perspective allows for the geological reality of the region, while acknowledging the undeniable human presence that seems to radiate from the site's most intricate features. It paints a picture of our ancestors as master opportunists, working in direct collaboration with the Earth's natural bones to create something sacred. Yet, despite international fascination and years of study, the Japanese Agency for Cultural Affairs remains steadfast in its refusal to designate the site as a cultural heritage monument. They maintain that there is insufficient empirical evidence to prove human intervention, leaving the site in a frustrating legal and scientific limbo. Without this official recognition, funding for professional archaeological excavations is virtually non-existent, and the site remains open to any diver brave enough to navigate the treacherous currents. This lack of protection is a double-edged sword. While it allows for raw, unhindered exploration by men like Kihachiro Aratake, it also means the secrets of Yonaguni are at the mercy of the relentless ocean, slowly eroding away. The mystery takes on a new weight when compared to discoveries like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. That site shattered timelines, proving that complex construction existed 12,000 years ago, far earlier than we ever suspected. If such a feat was possible in the hills of Anatolia, it could certainly have occurred on the shores of Japan. However, studying Yonaguni presents unique challenges. The site is plagued by heavy currents that can sweep a researcher away in seconds, and the constant washing of salt water makes the discovery of organic materials for carbon dating nearly impossible. Researchers are left only with the stones themselves, which do not give up their secrets easily. As we gaze into the turquoise depths, the Yonaguni Monument remains a silent, submerged library of human history. Whether it is a testament to plate tectonics or the ambition of an Ice Age civilization, its presence forces us to confront the vast, unexplored mysteries of our oceans. The sea is a guardian of secrets, a place where the boundary between myth and reality begins to blur. If you were to dive down today and stand on those massive stairs, would you feel the presence of your ancestors? Would you see the work of a master mason, or simply the magnificent power of the earth? We invite you to debate the evidence and share your theories in the comments. The mystery itself is the most valuable part of the monument. It reminds us that there is still so much to learn, and that some stories are best left for the sea to tell in its own time. The forbidden city beneath the waves may never give us a definitive answer, and in that eternal silence, its legend only grows.